Well, in the largest ever revelation of classified military documents, whistleblower website Wikileaks has released nearly 400,000 secret files about the U.S.-led war in Iraq. Some of the files published show how U.S. forces deliberately killed civilians, including pregnant women, at checkpoints in the war-torn country. Wikileaks editor-in-chief Julian Assange says the documents show compelling evidence of, quote, war crimes committed by U.S.-led forces. The files say excessive use of force was routinely not investigated, and the guilty were rarely brought to book. The leaked documents detail the deaths of over 66,000 Iraqi civilians between January 2004 and December of 2009. The move by Wikileaks has angered the Pentagon, which accused the whistleblower website of putting the lives of U.S. troops at risk. Well, for more on that story, we're now joined by Gloria Lariva, who is with the Answer Coalition, who joins us via satellite from San Francisco. Ma'am, thank you very much for joining our broadcast. Now, even though these U.S. military documents outline atrocities carried out by U.S. forces, the media's jumped on Iran. Now, isn't the bigger issue here that of torture, civilian killings, friendly fire, etc., for which the U.S. is responsible?
Well, the United States government, since the beginning of this war and beyond, has been trying to divert attention from the real issue, and that is this genocidal war and occupation in Iraq and Afghanistan. And now with the divulging of the 400,000 pages by Wikileaks, must expose more its war crimes, and therefore it's trying very hard to draw attention to other issues.
Right. Now, Obama's charged 3 whistleblowers during his tenure, more than any U.S. president. Now, he's also gone after Assange versus bin Laden, who seems like an afterthought now. What does that say about those like Bradley Manning, willing to sacrifice for the truth, versus the man responsible for 9/11?
Well, we think it's very courageous for this young soldier, Bradley Manning, as well as others who have come forward, for example, in the Winter Soldier testimony a few years ago, about the brutality that was being visited upon the Iraqi and the Afghani people. And it's necessary for people to come out in support of Bradley Manning. There is a committee for him. There is worldwide support growing. But yesterday we saw in the New York Times that it's very doubtful that the Blackwater contractors who have killed people, including the 17 civilians in a square in Baghdad, will even have any chance of being convicted. And this is the duality of this war, that the ones who are killing people, deliberately assassinating, executing, as you said, even pregnant women, are getting off completely, while those who are trying to expose the crime, the real crime, which is the war, are being prosecuted, terrorized, isolated. Bradley Manning is out of touch. He's not able to be in contact with anybody, and they must surely be mentally torturing him.
Right, I'd like to stick with that point, if I may. I'd like to get your opinion on the comparison between Assange versus bin Laden, and the fact that the U.S. is now going after Assange a bit harsher than it's going after bin Laden, who was technically responsible for 9/11 in the U.S. eyes.
Well, I've always thought that, of course, and many other people feel too, that by mentioning bin Laden all the time, it's like a mantra, it's like a hypnosis to the people to think that that will solve the problem, when the real problem is U.S. occupation, dozens and dozens of military bases throughout the Middle East, and the intent of the United States to dominate that whole region for the oil and its geopolitical importance. And the Obama administration, in its prosecution of the whistleblowers, is really a continuation of the Bush administration. And the factor that will change all of this is the popular opposition and movements by the people. It's true that the demonstrations in the world and in the United States against the war are not as large as they were at the beginning of the war, but we believe that with the divulging of the WikiLeaks documents, this will add fuel to the anger, and also to give knowledge to the public, the wider public, about the real extent of U.S. war crimes in Iraq.
Right. Now, Dan Ellsberg, who was a one-time whistleblower himself, predicted that these documents would include no hint of an intention to remove U.S. bases from Iraq ever, and of a contingency plan of a handover to Iraqis. He was right, clearly. Now, after reviewing these documents, what can we say of Obama's real intentions then?
Well, there's the intentions of the administrations and previous presidents. The intention of the presidents during the Vietnam War was to stay there and to smash, defeat, crush the National Liberation Movement in Vietnam. The U.S. ended up being defeated. And the same in Afghanistan, Iraq, and any other country that they try to attack. I think the Wikileaks document shows that with the U.S. deliberate policy of fomenting sectarian violence among different communities, when before there was unity in the population, before the U.S. war and occupation, they are concerned, and the New York Times reports on the concern that there will be, or could be very well, a new resurgence due to the growing anger by the people of this division and all the violence that's been perpetrated by the United States. The resistance, we believe, will grow. The resistance is already growing, and notwithstanding the titling of the forces there as just being simply support and not combat, we know otherwise.
All right, we will have to leave it there. That was Gloria La Riva with the Answer Coalition joining us via satellite from San Francisco. Thank you very much for your insight here at Press TV.